Hello, everybody out there. How are we doing? This is Adam from Middle Age Gaming, and we had a little bit of a switcheroo right before today's episode. So we're going to do things a little bit differently. From your perspective, it basically will be the same, but from my side, it'll be a little bit different because we're going to have to do photos instead of videos. But that's okay. But before we begin, I want everybody to click the subscribe button or the bell or whatever it is that you need to do so that you can be here on time next time, because chatting with us is a lot of fun. We are very interactive, and we love having you here because it gives us purpose. All right, but before we get well, actually, right now we're going to get into today's topic. So, Antoine, would you like to talk about what we're going to be doing today?
Yes, sure. We thought that we actually talk about a lot of good games lately. So we thought about changing the formula a little bit and talk about rip-offs, super good game which sells a lot, but which of course got copies and either really badly made or well made when surpassed the original game. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. And we instead of having because all of this game don't really have much depth to it because we all know the originals. So instead of going, I'll take two games, Adam will take two games. We took a list of 10 games and we'll talk about it and hopefully fill up the hours. And if we can't, we can't. That's all right as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of news this week. This was actually a very busy news week, so we definitely,
Oh, cool.
yeah. So we got a lot to talk about there. All right, so let's just hop right in then into our topic. We're gonna be talking about knockoffs, as Antoine said, and so we'll just start off with the first one on the list. We got these from Screen Rant, and the first one that they had mentioned was Killer Instinct. And I don't know if you did you ever play Killer Instinct?
No, but it's a ripoff of Mortal Kombat, which was released in 1995. And of course, that's what 30 years now. At this time, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Street Fighter, there were the big three names of fighting, and Mortal Kombat had this little tweak that you have fatalities, and it sold very well. It was fantastic. So there was not just like Killer Instinct is one name, but there might be another 10 or 20 behind because it was extremely copied on. There's about every theme you can think of. Like you like tractors, you have a knockoff of Mortal Kombat with tractors, or with sexy bikini girls, or Ninja Clown, or whatever. You have knockoff of everything. And on Gamerand, they chose to talk about Killer Instinct. So I don't know this specific game, but I know that this type of game has been really, really copied, and that was very fun.
Yeah, I think the idea behind this one is that, because I mean, fighting is a genre, so how do you differentiate, say, a knockoff from just another entry in a genre, right? I mean, is Sonic the Hedgehog a knockoff of Mario? It's a platformer, so you could argue it was, but it did change enough of the formula, and I think that's where they draw the line. Is Street Fighter predates Mortal Kombat, but is Mortal Kombat a Street Fighter knockoff? Well, not really. It's just another fighting game, but it does do enough of its own thing. Graphically, it was very different, but also, they added things like fatalities. It was much more violent. And I think in the case of Killer Instinct, it was that they were borrowing a lot of the Mortal Kombat formula. They were doing fatality type stuff. They were doing the things that made Mortal Kombat distinct from say Street Fighter. They were saying, nope, we're just going to do our own version of that. And I think that's why this one made the list. I do remember, was it this one though, that there was a game, and you started off the fight as a human, and then if you built up a meter, you could transform into some kind of beast. That might have been this game. I'm not sure. And if that is the case, then I don't know, because I would say that that was actually a completely different mechanic, because you
Yeah, that'd be a
could
ripoff of Dragon Ball.
kind of in that you're powering up, kind of. But I mean, Dragon Ball didn't have a fighting game at the time, so
Well, there was. I remember I was playing it on Mega Drive, and I had imported from Japan, so I had this actually cartridge adapter that I could put but I don't remember the name of the Dragon Ball at the time. But
Oh,
yeah, I remember it was around the 95 mark. Yeah,
hmm.
maybe even earlier.
Oh, okay. Well, I was unaware of that one. All right,
Yeah.
but yeah. So if yeah, so they copied the idea. Now, again, yeah, I'm not quite sure. I mean, this might be part of the reason why this is number 10 on their list as to a knockoff, because it's kind of like, okay, yeah, it was another fighting game. It did borrow ideas, but it did kind of do its own thing. So maybe that's why it was listed as number 10 on their list of knockoffs. Uh, but
We
yeah.
could have actually started with this. What do you consider a knockoff? So for me, it's easy. It's this kind of, and sorry if you're Chinese, but this kind of cheap Chinese copy. You have this game which made tons of money. We could create an original game and make money as well, and create a revolution of the genre. But it's so much easier to just copy something which is already successful. And in most of the games that you will see in this list, they don't make the effort to make their own thing. Like you said, Mortal Kombat, the little tweak they had was the fatalities, and that's what make this game so popular. Compared to Street Fighter 2. So there was this little tweak, and that's why it's not too could be a similar game, of course, but not a knockoff simply because it was not made in the idea of, oh, this game is popular, I'm gonna make money out of it. I don't care about the player. All I want is to fill up my wallet.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's and if the knockoff of a game is actually more popular and there's actually one on the list like this, then it's successful.
Yeah, I think for me a knockoff, because there's also terms like spiritual successor, and you could definitely say that a spiritual successor to a game is a knockoff. But for me, I think a knockoff is mostly a reskin. So like you said, they're mostly copying. They're not inventing anything. They're just taking what was popular about the first game and redoing it. But B, it also to me has to seem like a cash grab in the sense that it has to exist alongside the original game. So, for example, a game like Pray for the Gods, I mean, the people that made it, they were saying, this is a spiritual successor to Shadow of the Colossus. And you could say that it's a knockoff, but at the same time, Shadow of the Colossus came out on the PS2, and we've never gotten another game like that. So I feel like it's kind of not a knockoff in the way, in the sense that the people that made it were thinking, this was a fun game. There's nothing that fills that niche right now. So but we don't own the IP. So we want something to play in that style. So I feel like if you're copying an older game, but there's nothing currently available to give you that sense, I wouldn't necessarily call that a knockoff, because you're filling a niche here. But if the niche is already filled, Mortal Kombat clearly existed, then yeah, you're just saying, oh, Mortal Kombat exists. It makes a ton of money. I want to make a ton of money too. So for me, there has to be that kind of sense of almost as a bit of a cash grab and trying to take
Yeah.
away from
I,
something else.
I wanted to say opportunistic.
Yes.
Same as right now with all the COVID and pandemic situation, you see tons of movies and games I didn't see that much, but which are all like, oh my god, virus and all, and they are usually bad movies because they are done very fast, just because perhaps that's the theme in flavor of the month and or the year now. But yeah, it's made just on this idea of this topic is super popular right now. I'm gonna hurry my ass off to release something, even if it's bad. That's all right because it's gonna sell because it's talked about, and that's a really terrible way to do it. But yeah, I don't think it works that well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it. Yeah, for example, if you were gonna make a sexy vampire movie, right, like the year after the latest Twilight film, I would say, yeah, that's completely a knockoff. You're trying to ride this wave to make your own money. But if you did one now, I would say, Twilight hasn't had a film in 10
Well,
years. So
and
you're
that's
like, okay, we're trying to give
and
fans
that's
of
why
this
that's why
something.
yeah, that's why some movies take the exact contrary. You had the Twilight movies, and right after, I don't know if you saw it, there was Warm Bodies, which basically
Yes.
is a Twilight. Yeah, it's a Twilight vampire human romantic story. So it's definitely a knockoff, but it's just it's a comedy. It's fun. They actually play on it. So it works, and it was quite fun actually as a
I
movie.
liked
So
that
you,
one. That one was good. Yeah.
yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, that one
So
was
it
good.
could have
And
been a knockoff, but they were intelligent enough to tweak it just
right.
enough to be good.
Yeah, exactly. And then it becomes almost satire in a way because it's kind of making fun of it.
Yeah,
So yeah, something like that. I also like the fact that the guy in Warm Bodies was the war boy from uh Mad Max, the same guy. So but yeah, so we're
exactly.
moving on. We might as well move on to the next game here. So the next game on the list is Dark
That's a good one.
Forces, which if you are a Star Wars fan, you've more than likely played this game. And I think a lot of, this was back in a time, obviously, if you're looking at this, this obviously looks like Doom. This is very clearly.
It has nothing to do with Star Wars. Basically, this is a kind of movie of sorry game which was developed generic. You know, they just didn't know where to sell it. Some studio developed it, and they sold it to I don't know what the license at the time. You know, LucasArts or Lucas Group or whatever. And they say, okay, I bought it, so I put Star Wars in front. Oh, wait, you don't have lightsaber? No, but I have a big machine gun. All right, but you know, Star Wars kind of lasers. Even if it's not lightsaber, at least it's pew pew. Yeah, but I have a machine gun and I call it Star Wars. So what are you gonna do?
Well, they have machine
Hey,
guns and stuff. I mean, well, I don't know if they would call it a machine gun, but they do have like automatic rifles and whatnot. But yeah,
yeah, but,
yeah, yeah. It was 100% a knockoff of Doom. I think the only difference was they added a little bit more story than Doom had. Doom was basically just there are demons, kill them because that's your job. And this one, I think I don't remember exactly what you were trying to accomplish in it. Do you remember or?
no idea.
Yeah, I don't
I
remember. Yeah, I
really
don't
don't
remember
know.
what it was. I have friends that really enjoyed this game, and so they played quite a bit. But yeah, this
But
was
yeah,
definitely uh, a knockoff of Doom. But then also, this kind of fills from my previous description the cash grab thing twice. A, it's saying, hey, let's capitalize on Doom's popularity. That's gonna sell. B, let's capitalize on Star Wars' popularity.
oh, we
um
have a license. We're not doing anything with it.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, this was 100%, a cash grab. But I mean, to be fair, the Doom formula is so simple that you'd really have to try to screw it up.
Exactly. There was some genre, but somehow it really feel like a thing of the past. Doom like have been massively copied. Street Fighter like or fighting games have been massively copied. There was a lot of this kind of game which at the time were massively copied. I don't feel like it happens that much now.
Battle Royale, I think, is the most recent one to really do it, uh,
Yeah,
and
but they
that's
don't really
taken off.
copy each other. They're trying to tweak it a little bit.
They try, but I mean, most of it's the and that I think is kind of a thing in itself. Where how do you say when do you say that something is a knockoff and when do you say that we've established a new genre, you know?
There's a graphic thing to it. Of course, now you have way more option to change the graphics, but at the time, a Doom like look like a Doom like, and you don't care about the story. Just you have a screen, you shoot what's in front of you. You have your little bar of health and the little head of the guy who take damage, and that's it. That's how you. It feels like it's the same mechanics. It looks the same. The mechanics are the same. It's exactly the same. So now it's a bit tougher to say, yeah, Fortnite and PUBG are PUBG is a knockoff of Fortnite. Yes, maybe, but at the same time, is it really because it's the same while being slightly different? It attracts maybe different kind of players, so it's a bit harder to say at the time,
Yeah,
at this
like
time at least.
yeah, because like Fortnite ended up, has all the build modes and stuff like that, and takes itself a little bit less seriously than PUBG, and
Of
uh,
course.
yeah. But now you're getting battle royales all over the place, and all these new mobile battle
What?
royales, and a whole bunch of games are adding battle royale modes to them and whatnot, and yeah, it's getting
So
crazy.
here's a question: Which one is a knockoff of which one? Call of Duty or Battlefield?
Oh, I don't see. That's the thing is, I don't really know if you would consider one a knockoff of the other anyway, just because at that point FPS was an established genre, and yeah, I don't know. Or I would say that they're both knockoffs of Medal of Honor, maybe.
Maybe.
But with the military shooters. But yeah, it's hard to say at that point.
Don't don't worry, people. You will see in the list that it's very easy to see there are knockoffs
Yeah, so
simply
some
because
of
the
these
story
are a
and
little
the
more
gameplay
obvious
is the
than
same.
others. Like this one
It's
here is a
very
pretty
obvious
big
here.
cash grab. This next one up, Simpsons. What is this one called? This one's Simpsons, not
Road
Hit and
Rage.
Run, Road Rage.
Yes,
Simpsons Road
Road
Rage. Yeah,
Rage.
and this one's a blatant knockoff of Crazy Taxi because you also had Simpsons Hit and Run, which was 100% a knockoff of GTA, right?
Yeah.
Which Saints Row was also a knockoff of GTA. But yeah, this one's clearly a knockoff of Crazy Taxi. So you're driving around. You've got the citizens of what do you call it? The citizens of Springfield, and they're all need to go to certain places. So it's your job to deliver them to where they need to go. So yeah, it's 100% Crazy Taxi. Um, and again,
I
just
mean,
like the previous one, we'll talk about. I definitely have a favorite knockoff
yeah.
that I'm gonna get into later.
You will see one of them that I didn't know about make me laugh so hard I need to talk about. Adam already knows about.
Yeah, we have different
That.
definitions of a knockoff, of a
Oh
good
yeah.
knockoff, favorites knockoff.
But see, what I really like about the Simpson one is that usually knockoffs, editors they don't really care. They're like, yeah, just try to copy my game. I don't care. In the worst case, it's gonna be more advertisement for me. In this case, for the Simpsons, since the franchise of Simpsons is so already well established and well known, Sega with Crazy Taxi was like, no, no, I file a pursuit and you remove your game and that's it. And I will kill this game because I don't want the big studio or a big name like The Simpsons to put a shadow on my game. And
Yeah,
you can't get this one anymore.
yeah, it's kind of funny that they're like, okay, I don't want you to overshadow my game, but purely because it's Simpsons. So, uh, yeah,
Exactly. That's just the same as Star Wars. Knockoff, big name of franchise, double the money. Come here.
yeah, yeah. So I didn't play this game, but from what I've heard, it's basically just Crazy Taxi. There's nothing. It's just a Crazy Taxi with a Springfield skin on it, and I think that is pretty clearly when that happens, that is 100% a knockoff. When it's just a skin change, but the gameplay is exactly the same in every other way. And there's definitely a game that we're going to get to on this list that is exactly that. Uh, but yeah,
So we can talk about the next one because the next one is slightly special and
yeah, the next one surprised me. Angry Birds is apparently considered a knockoff, which to me was
oh,
bizarre because I was like, okay, what? I mean, the whole idea of catapulting and launching things and knocking it off and destroying towers and stuff. Okay, yeah, that's a pretty basic concept, but yeah, I never really thought of a game before this. But apparently, it is a knockoff of a game called Crush the Castle.
Crush the Castle. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know Crush the Castle. Did you ever play
And I
that
don't
one, or do you
think
know that one?
no, I don't think everybody knows Crush the Castle. So that's what I was saying. Here, when you copy a game and you do better than this, then you are the owner of the of the franchise of the genre, I would say.
Yeah, I think
I'm
the
copying, but I'm doing it better than you. So nobody's gonna
oh,
remember you.
actually, you know what? I did
Right?
play Crush the Castle back when it was a Flash game. Uh,
Oh, maybe as
so
a
I did
flash,
I
but
did
not
play
as a
this
mobile.
actually. Now that I'm looking at the pictures of it, I'm like, I 100% wait, I totally played this game and it was a lot of fun when I played it and I remember it exactly. Um yeah, it was a little bit different. I mean, in the sense that you had a catapult, you don't have the slingshot, so you're not quite adjusting things the same way. Um but yeah, it's the basic idea of you're trying to destroy something by hitting it in the right spot and all that. It is kind of a knockoff, but then I think this one too is kind of funny because if if how do I say this? If you are if there's a game and it's popular and you know it's popular and you want to make money off of it, that's 100% a cash grab, right? And then therefore we would call it a knockoff. But if there's a game and it's very niche and not a lot of people know it and you kind of want to make your own version of it, that's kind of like what I was saying before, where you have kind of an empty market and you just want to put something out there, and in a way, I mean, there is something out there to play, but then, yeah, you're kind of putting it out in a void. So the goal probably wasn't money because the first one wasn't making money. So is that a knockoff? I don't know. It's a little more
I do,
vague in that
yeah,
sense.
I do agree with you because for me, the knockoff essence is to make a quick cash.
Yeah.
If you copy a game which was a flash game, so basically flash game, you don't really make money out of it. mm, you just copy a mechanic and make it successful. That's good for you. But the original game was not successful, or at least didn't make a lot of money. So yeah, I agree with you there. I can't really consider that a knockoff.
Yeah, I'm
More
also
like a good, well played.
yeah, and I'm also thinking I'm trying to remember how old when did I play Crush the Castle? Cuz yeah, it might have been a quite a bit
A
earlier
while
than
ago.
Angry Birds, where it was kind of like, oh, this game hadn't existed in a while, and they hadn't been updating it, and so somebody was like, oh, I want to make new levels on this, and Angry Birds did add some things with some of the birds have special abilities, the blue ones can split and stuff like that, so they did add a little bit to it. So okay, I don't know if somebody wants to call it a knockoff, fine, but I wouldn't say it's a blatant cash grab like some of the other ones on this list. Such as this next one here. So this next
Now the
one,
next one is another Street Fighter copy, so maybe we can just skip it because we already a Mortal Kombat
oh,
one.
okay, yeah. So
And
we can skip
again,
it. We can go to Antoine's
yeah,
personal favorite then. Okay, let me just bring up the picture here real quick. All right, and then we're gonna. This is Antoine's personal favorite, I believe.
oh
Uh,
yeah, I love it because everybody,
Garfield
of course,
Go.
everybody know, yeah, everybody you know Pokemon Go, and if you want to try to copy a game like Pokemon Go, I mean, Garfield Go, is it even more? Can you make it more obvious that you are trying to bank on the name?
You don't even change the name.
You don't change the name. You don't. And Garfield, I mean, I would understand somehow if it was Digimon or something like this, something to capture. But Garfield, the stuff about Garfield Go is that you have to find Garfield and throw lasagna at him. It's ridiculous. Seriously, Pokemon Go is working so well. We have to find something. What you are? Garfield. Okay, someone else. No, no what? Okay, then Garfield. How do we call it? Garfield Go. Did you have your coffee this morning, Princess? No. Okay, let's go with it.
Yeah, exactly. This is just
Really feel like snow.
Pokemon Go, Garfield Go, sure. Okay, how do we play? But then that's the thing. Like Pokemon, the whole point is collecting Pokemon. Are you collecting Garfield, or are you just trying to
No,
catch
you
him?
just throw lasagna at him. It's really. It's not even. I was trying to check earlier. You can't even get it on iOS anymore. I don't know if it's on Android, but
Yeah. So yeah, this one's a blatant ripoff, and this is definitely a reskin. And this would I would 100% say this is a knockoff. This is definitely.
that's so much reach for the cash. That's even disgusting in a way. But it's funny. I mean, it's like, did you really do that? Like, I looked at it twice. I'm like, was it really legit? Like, was this really a game? Garfield Go is not a joke or something? No, it really existed. Ooh. I'm not a big fan of Garfield, I'll be honest, and this is not contributing to make me like him even more.
Have you ever read Garfield Without Garfield?
Garfield without Garfield?
Yeah, so somebody took the old Garfield comics and they edited Garfield out. So it's all the other characters talking.
Odie?
It's all the other characters and their word bubbles are there, but then there's no Garfield. And it's just really kind of funny, but at the same time, like really sad and depressing. because it just looks like a sad. Because John is always Garfield's always saying something, and John's just kind of like and then it looks like he's kind of talking to himself, and it just looks like an insight into a sad, depressed, lonely man. it's just
Isn't it exactly what it is?
it's kind of what it is, but there's often no punchline. So
Oh,
like for example,
okay.
sometimes there'll be like maybe John will be kind of sitting there like this at the table, and Garfield says something, and John kind of perks up, and then Garfield says something else sarcastic, and he goes back to this position. But it's just him, just like like
Evelyn! No, my life is shit.
yeah. So it's some of them don't work. Some of them don't work, but some of them work really really well, and it changes the context completely. But yeah, I would recommend just perusing Garfield without Garfield, because some of them are really funny, and some of them are just really kind of depressing and sad. But yeah. So, moving on to the next one. This one's kind of funny. Saints Row, and we mentioned this before, and Saints Row I would say is kind of special because the first one definitely a knockoff of GTA. I would say, purely the cash grab thing, but they ran with it and they kept going and then created their own identity. So yeah, this one's kind of in a special place where even a knockoff can kind of become its own distinct thing. And I think Saints Row is kind of a testament to that, because yeah, the first one definitely I would say it was a knockoff. But then the further they went, they were like, well, we were trying to get that sweet GTA money. GTA's still huge. We can't just keep doing that. We need to try something. We need to change it up a bit. And so they just leaned into the, just the most bizarre aspects of it and just kind of went crazy with it. And it worked. So, the first one, I would definitely call it a a knockoff, maybe even the second one, but by the third one, no, I would say now it's evolved into its own thing. Yeah, I don't know. What would you say?
Oh, same. And who knows if Saints Row 5 come out before GTA 6, might even overshadow it a little bit.
Yeah, because GTA 6 right now. Yeah, so definitely
Exactly, yeah.
now they are going to be the quintessential one. Yeah.
So
With the
will the
exception of,
student pass a master?
sorry, what?
Will the student pass a master?
Will the students pass their semester?
Yeah.
Oh, will the student pass the
No, no.
master?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. GTA is just a monolith at this
Too
point.
young, too big.
Yeah, it's too big, but definitely I think they're taking advantage of the cracks between the games right now. So they're yeah, they've established themselves. So good on you guys. Well done, Saints Row.
Yep.
Yep. This next one here, if you think that if I saw this picture, I would 100% think that this was Team Fortress. 100%. I would have been like, that's a
I
picture of
thought
Team
it was.
Fortress. It's
I
not.
thought it was actually.
It's not Team Fortress. This is a game called what are they called? Final
Final
Combat.
Combat.
Final Combat. Yeah. And this is, yeah, it doesn't get much more knockoffy than this. I mean, come on. When you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, that's Team Fortress, and it's like, no, it's not, and it's like, yes, it is, and no, it's not. Yeah, I mean, the character models are identical. I don't even know. I mean, they might even have skins like this in Team Fortress. I don't know. The helmets look the same. The gun design looks the same. It's how, yeah, I don't know. This almost looks like they just took the code and just renamed it and just changed the font. Like we took the game, we went into the game files. We modded it to change the font a bit, change a bit of the colors. It's a brand new game. It's a brand new game. I swear. Like,
I mean, it's just sad. I understand if some games, have a very strong inspiration, like Genshin Impact has a very strong inspiration from Zelda, but it's his own game in a way. Here, no, 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 no. Take the same, change a bit the color chart. That's it. Money, come.
they didn't even
My
change
world
the
is
colors
open.
that much.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's just really sad. There's just lack of imagination and no.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's weird. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know why somebody would even think to do that. I mean, I could understand it from the perspective of if you were, say, a university student and and you're like, hey, I want a project to do. I'm gonna see if I can make my own Team Fortress. But you're not doing it to sell it. You're just doing it, just to kind of like practice programming and getting used to game design and stuff like that. That would make sense to me. And then you can rip off
Mm.
assets if you want because the intention isn't to sell it or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Why would you do this? And I cannot imagine that this was successful. Which, to be honest, I had never heard of it before. So I'm assuming it wasn't.
And that's a bit sad. I really wanted, but I couldn't find it. I wanted to have the numbers of sale. How much money they made. Were they actually able to make profits out of it? Personally, I don't think they would because I mean that's just a no. But who knows? Actually, that would be interesting to know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I don't know. I don't know much else to say about that one because that one's just. Ugh.
Exactly. And I don't know much about the next one actually. So I don't know
Dante's
if you know
Inferno.
about.
So
Yeah,
Dante's
do you know
Inferno kind
about
of
one?
bothered me a bit. So Dante's Inferno was a blatant ripoff of God of War. It was definitely the original God of Wars, where you're in kind of a corridor and it's third person and
Oh,
you're
it
running
goes
around and
straight.
yeah, that God of War Devil May Cry kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I don't know which one came first, God of War or Devil May Cry. But
Oh,
yeah, I
Devil
don't
May
really know
Cry
if I'd
was
call
one.
those knockoffs of each other because they are very different. Devil May Cry, you're doing a
Yeah,
lot
they are
of
different. No, no.
yeah, you're doing a lot of the juggling and whatnot. But this one definitely was a lot of the God of War. I think you get I think even your scythe can extend, so you kind of get the whole Blades of Chaos thing going on. The reason that this one bothered me was because I don't. This is a personal pet peeve of mine. I don't really like it when people take established things and then completely revamp them and then be like, oh yeah, like this is awesome. I wasn't a fan of the original God of Wars for that reason. They're like, oh yeah, we have the Greek gods, we have Ares, we have Zeus, but we're gonna have this random Spartan guy who's gonna kill all the Greek gods. And I was like, we have hundreds of Greek legends, and you're just gonna come along with this original character and be like, oh yeah, he's totally better than Zeus. I don't know. To me that feels really arrogant when you take something that's been established for a long time and then you're like, I'm going to create a better character that's going to kill off your characters, and it's going to like, yeah, I don't know. That to me that just feels like a power fantasy, a power move, kind of. But anyway, that aside, this game took Dante's Inferno, and if you've read Dante's Inferno, it has almost nothing to do with the Divine Comedy. Uh, but interestingly enough, this game does have its own anime. I've seen it.
It
You can
does.
watch it online. I think it's even on YouTube. And what's really kind of weirdly interesting about it is it's it's one movie, but it's divided into scenes, and each scene was done by a different director and has a different animation style. So
Ooh.
there are consistent voice actors across it, but the style keeps shifting with each Circle of Hell. And yeah, so
Yeah.
like at one point, and some of them are pretty big names. Some of them are pretty big names. Like I don't remember the name, but the guy who did Aeon Flux was one of the
Mm-hmm.
directors. So they have a whole section where it's done in the style of Aeon Flux, and um,
Terrible movie, by the way.
well, I'm talking
So
about the
bad.
original cartoon.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, yeah. So it's done in that kind of the same style as that. But yeah, in this one, Dante he was a crusader, and he wasn't a very nice one. He was not a good guy, and he returns home. His beloved Beatrice, sorry, Beatrice, is dead, and so he is going to descend into hell to find her. But to do that, he kills Death, steals Death's scythe, and then proceeds to go through the circles of hell where he kills various demons that lord over the individual circles of hell, eventually killing Satan himself and going to heaven after doing horrible, horrible things to people. And I mean horrible, horrible things to people. He deserved to be in hell. So yeah, this was a really weird one in that it just Yeah, they're just taking all these concepts like, oh yeah, yeah, Dante's Inferno, but we're just gonna take the names and we're just gonna make it like, God of War. So this guy is like, going around just doing stuff to people and women, and yeah, he's not a good guy, but he's gonna go to heaven because he saved his girlfriend that he had cheated on multiple times non-consensually.
But it feels, I don't know, is it done by a Japanese studio? Because it happens that sometimes, like
That's a good question. I don't
Japanese
know who made this game.
Japanese studio like to take Western beliefs or stuff, and they don't really understand what it
They
means, but
do.
they just put it because it's interesting. And no, you can't really cheat on your wife. That's not the heavenly stuff to do now.
Let's see. It was made
Torture, no,
by.
no, torture, no, it's not so much of a
Nope.
stuff as well.
It was made by Electronic Arts. It was made by EA Games, the greatest company of all history. So yeah, EA made
Electronic
it.
Arts. Good
So
size
it was
though.
designers Steven DeSile. I don't know. Directors are Jonathan Knight, Stephen Barry. Those sound like Japanese names to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, so absolutely no excuse.
Yeah. But to be fair, I mean, yeah, the Japanese do take Western mythology and Western
Yeah, but
mythology
they have
and
an
Western
excuse.
religion,
It's not.
and we do it
Yeah,
too.
but it's not. Yeah, it's not really their cultures. So it's okay if they get it wrong. It's
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
actually
exactly.
even be fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, we do it too. I mean, look at all the samurai movies and stuff that are out there,
Of
and
course,
ninja stuff. I
yes,
mean,
of course.
so yeah, we do it too. We're not innocent in that
It's a
regard.
friendly competition.
It is kind of. I mean, it's at least in the video gaming industry. I don't know about certain other ones. I know in the movie industry sometimes it gets kind of weird, but but at least in the video game industry, a lot of times, and I think like this one again is in the video game industry. I think people typically don't. Nothing is sacred.
Yeah. Well,
So,
if you see the next and last game, you will see that really nothing nothing is sacred.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So this game is, I mean, right off the bat, what game is that?
I know. It's the great Gianna Sisters.
Exactly. So I mean, yeah. So we have Mario Brothers. Now we have, what was it? Gianno,
Gianna Sisters. They
Gianna
just
Sisters. Yeah,
they just colored over the sprites. It's like a 5 years old say, "Oh, the Goomba looks cute. Let put some
it's an
ears. It's an
owl.
owl."
Yes. And they're
Okay.
sisters now. They're
Uh,
not brothers. So this is yeah. So this is again a tremendous. This is just a cash grab, and then I don't even know if this is a cash grab. Was this released for anything? Let's see.
I don't know.
Where it came out.
For me, it's a meme. It's
It
not
looks like a
even
meme,
real.
right? Like I've never heard of this before. I've never seen it. I don't know. Was this on the original Nintendo? I find it hard to believe that it was. And even here on the website, it doesn't say where you could play it. Uh
It was on Commodore 64.
oh, okay. Oh yeah, and it says right here, just like Sega with Simpsons, Nintendo wasn't happy and they were able to have every single copy of the game sent to stores fully recalled. So the game got sent out to stores. Nintendo was like, "No." Every
A-
single one was pulled off shelves. So sorry,
And I have
guys.
something more to say about this.
Oh yeah.
Are you ready? Oh yeah, you were ready for the original Gianna Sister? You have Gianna Sisters DS in 2009, Gianna's Return 2009, Gianna Sisters Twisted, whatever, Twisted Dreams on, is that Switch? Gianna Sister 2012. Oh my god.
They made
It's
more.
yeah, even more.
Are they all blatant
It's
Mario
even on
knockoffs though, or did
Android. I
they
thought,
did they change it up?
uh, I hope for them they change it up.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean maybe they went the Saints Row route and they were like, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna change it up a bit."
Yeah,
Uh,
because the 2012 one, developed by Black Forest Games, actually has a 92% of users who like the game. Released on PS4, Xbox One, PC, Xbox 360, Nintendo Switch, Wii U, and PS3.
all
So,
right. Maybe they came up with their own identity eventually. I don't know. Yeah.
but it's Gianna Sisters. Does it mean it's? It doesn't say if it's the same as the Great Gianna Sisters. I don't know
The great
if
Gianna
it's a
Sisters.
coincidence. I don't know if it's a coincidence that the name is almost the same or not.
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
the one which looks like the original Mario is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, come on, the Goombas. They're just like, oh, there we can make them owls by adding little pointy things up and sharpening the side. Uh, well, you can't blame somebody for trying, I suppose. But as
I
per
imagine so.
Koreans, hey Apex, as for Koreans' request, our favorite, I'm gonna go into mine, because yours, I believe, was Garfield, correct?
It was hard between Gianna Sisters and Garfield, but Garfield make me laugh way more. So I'm gonna go for Garfield.
All right. Well, mine is actually not on this list, and it is a good one. And that's going to be Mod Nation Racers. So if you've ever played Mario Kart, you know exactly what this game is. They did not try to change it up too much, but again, they were kind of filling the niche because Mario Kart is clearly on Nintendo, and we did not really. I mean, we had Crash Bandicoot Racing, I guess, on the PlayStation way back when, but there was kind of
Sonic R
a
as well.
Sonic R as well. But we didn't
Oh yeah.
have any games that were kart racers for at that time, at least not any big ones. And this is actually kind of a knockoff of not just Mario Kart, but also Little Big Planet. And so to the point where when Little Big Planet Racing came out, the guys who made Little Big Planet Racing came to these guys and they were like, "Hey guys, help us out here." So they had a lot of love for each other. But this was definitely where somebody was looking at Mario Kart and they're like, "This is a great game. I want to play Mario Kart on the PlayStation." So we're gonna take that same track racing. They have drifting, just like Mario Kart. There are boxes that you can collect, and then that's how you get your weapons, just like Mario Kart. You have the hazards, things smashing and whatnot, just like Mario Kart. So the gameplay was basically the same as Mario Kart. They did change a few things up in Mario Kart. If you're doing like a power slide, you get a little speed boost at the end of it if you can kind of charge up your power boost. In this one, you had an energy meter, and when you power slide, you would charge the meter, and you could either use the meter as a speed boost when you wanted to, or you could use it as a shield to block incoming attacks. So that was a little bit different. The other thing that they changed up was Mario Kart has a ton of different weapons that you can get. Green shells, red shells, bananas, bombs, the star, all those things. This one really only had, I think, 3 or 4 that you could get. But the thing is in this one changed it up in a bit in that if you went through one of the boxes, you got a random weapon. If you didn't use that weapon but ran through a second box, it would charge that weapon up to level 2. And if you went through another box, you could charge that weapon up to level 3. So I think there were maybe 4 different weapons you could get, or 4 different abilities you could get, but each one could charge up 2 times. So you had a total of 12 different things you could do. And so, for example, you could get a missile, which was the green shell. You shot it goes in a straight line, it hits a wall, it bounces. So it was 100% a green shell. But then if you got it up to level 2, then it was a red shell. Now it's tracking. Okay. But you get it up to level 3, and it's different. Level 3 would just release multi-missiles that would just pummel the area in front of you. So if you were getting on a group of enemies, you could just knock a whole bunch of them out. So it did change up things a little bit from Mario Kart. I wouldn't say it was better than Mario Kart, but I wouldn't say it was worse. I would say it was on par. The quality was there. And the other thing that they
Okay.
did from Little Big Planet side was, your characters, they're called mods. You could completely customize them however you wanted. You could, change the faces up. You could change what they're wearing. You could add stickers and accessories to them and stick them wherever you want. If you have a horn, you could stick a horn on the side, or you could stick it in the front or on the shoulders or whatever you want. The cars were the same way. You could mod your cars to have whatever style you wanted. If you wanted to look more like a car, you wanted to look more like a Jeep, or you want to change the paint job or whatever. So you could change those up a bit. You could also do, like in Mario Kart, they have different they have different racers in the sense that some are heavier, some are lighter. And
Mhm.
this one, there was just a little toggle on your car where you could say, okay, I want more drift or I want more handling. or I want more acceleration, or I want more top speed. And so, in that sense, it was, you didn't have to worry about like, oh, okay, somebody else took Bowser or whatever. You could just do whatever you want. So in that sense, it was a little bit different. But then also, like Little Big Planet, you could design your entire track however you wanted to. So you could, that was probably the most fun part about it, was that you could just build your own tracks. They had tons of tracks in game, but you could make custom tracks, and it was online. So you could go online and play with other people. When, of course, I think pretty much everybody who released an online level would do the same thing, where we would all have a level, but then we would all create like a secret path. So when other people played us our levels, we could always win. But people would have a lot of fun with it, and they got real creative in certain ways. I think there was like one level where the entire track was just, it was buildings, and you're just you're going from one building and either ramping off, or you have to kind of jump, or but it was like a buildings in a flooded city or something like that. So there's no one track and stuff. So that was definitely a blatant knockoff as well. But it changed it up enough that it was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
with a nice sandbox option.
Yeah. They added some sandbox options, and so it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. And unfortunately, after they created Mod Nation Racer, they went out of business. The company that made it went out of business. A lot of them went on to help Little Big Planet kart racing, but from what I've heard, it's just not as good. Yeah, for whatever reason, it's slower. It feels heavier or whatever. It feels clunkier. This one worked really, really well, but yeah. So it's a real unfortunate that that we can't play it anymore. But we're gonna get into some news here, and some of the news might give this game a bit of a chance. So let's go ahead and get into the news. So our first bit of news today is Final Fantasy XIV is going to be going back on sale later this month, January. You cannot buy it right now because there are too many people trying to play. It's actually not that bad right now. Every time I've tried to log in, there's only been a queue of maybe 17 to 40 people. So it's not the 4,000 that it used to be. But yeah, so they're definitely going to be back on sale. So if you want to get it, you can pick it up. But also, they are going to be adding server expansion. So the servers are going to be bigger, which means that in the future, there should hopefully be less of a problem logging on until, of course, more people buy this game. And then, and then it happens all over again.
They done that before the extension?
Yeah, I don't know when the it'll definitely be before the next expansion. Will it be before the next patch? That I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But I know that Final Fantasy XIV, people have been wanting it on Xbox for a long time, and I know that Square has been in talks with Xbox to get it on Xbox. But for this last expansion, they wanted to focus on getting the expansion ready first, and I think it should be Xbox ready before the next expansion. So we don't know when, but the next it should be out on Xbox before the next expansion. But that might add more people. So we might be running back into the same problem as we open it up to Xbox players. All right, but not just that. That's not the only thing that's going to be available soon. The Steam Deck is set to ship in February. So if you have pre-ordered a Steam Deck, you should be looking forward to be able to get that one soon, because hopefully soon in February you'll be able to pick one up. So they should be shipping soon. So that's good news for people that bought the Steam Deck. Or I didn't buy one. Did you? No. All right. I know Korean was excited about it, but I don't know if he. I don't think he actually pre-ordered one. But I know he was excited about it.
A bit too expensive for him, I think.
Oh, it was a bit too expensive for him. Oh, that's too bad.
It was very expensive, the Steam Deck.
They were pretty expensive. I think they were, what were they, like $300 or something? And there were the three different models. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It was like nearly as much as a PS5, kind of.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was like, yeah, it was the same price as a PS5. So yeah. But I guess that's good news. But moving into something a little more interesting. So you know Zynga?
Zynga.
You've probably heard of them. It's a mobile game maker. They're the same people that made Farmville, if you remember the popular game from Facebook.
Yes, absolutely. I played a lot of Farmville at some point.
Yeah, so they're the guys that made Farmville. So Take-Two Interactive bought Zynga and broke the record for the largest buyout in video game history at 12 billion. So they paid even more
I
than Xbox
saw
paid for
that.
Bethesda.
Congrats. Congrats to
Yeah.
Take Two because I really like them. They do some really good games. So
Yeah, so
thumbs
Zynga,
up.
yeah, so that's interesting there. So biggest buyout ever, but I don't know if this is going to hold for very long because I just found this out. This was released just a few hours ago. I don't even think less than 24 hours ago. Apparently, this isn't the only buyout happening. Microsoft has come out and announced that they are planning to buy out Blizzard Activision or Activision Blizzard, which is huge. I don't know how much money they're going to spend on that. I don't know if it's going to beat the Zynga one. It wouldn't surprise me if it would. But yeah, so Microsoft is planning to buy
Why?
Activision Blizzard. So that
Are
means
you
that
saying
hmm?
are you saying they are buying another studio which is really down in the dumps? Which one was it? Oh, it reminds me of a certain Bethesda
Yeah,
not too
yeah.
long ago.
Yeah, I mean Bethesda I would say is probably in a better position was probably in a better position not financially but reputation wise than Activision
Yeah,
Blizzard.
exactly.
But yeah, Microsoft is buying out Activision Blizzard, which actually is going to give them exclusive rights over Call of Duty, Diablo, World of Warcraft is going to be a Microsoft IP now,
Oh
and
my.
get this, Destiny on the PC. So sorry Bungie,
Ooh.
but you got away from so Bungie gets away from Microsoft, and then they go to Activision Blizzard. They break away from Activision Blizzard, and now Microsoft is buying the guys that own the
Or
Destiny IP on
mine.
PC. Yeah, exactly. So this will be interesting. So yeah, they're gonna own Overwatch and all that. Now this is one of the things that apparently there aren't too many Activision Blizzard games. I mean, they're more known for, at least the Blizzard side is more known for uh, PC gaming. However,
Mhm.
Overwatch is on console. But also that Call of Duty, they own Call of Duty, and that is a huge franchise. Well, that's going to be a Microsoft property now. So not only has PlayStation lost access to Elder Scrolls and Doom, and what were some of the other ones that they had? Uh, was it Elder Scrolls, Doom, the
For Bethesda, Fallout.
Fallout? Right now, they're also going to be losing Overwatch. They're going to be losing access to Call of Duty, possibly. So this is a really big deal, and this is again, like I've mentioned before, this is this is. I don't play Call of Duty, but that would be irritating to me if I was, a PlayStation player. We've been playing Call of Duty. You're a huge Call of Duty fan. You're a PlayStation player, and now it's like, nope, sorry, you got to buy an Xbox or play on PC. You can't play on your PlayStations anymore.
Who knows?
Um,
Maybe they're gonna make some deal with Sony just to release a Call of Duty with big royalties or something
Well,
on
if they were
PlayStation.
doing that, I would say they'd probably do it with Fallout 2 and Elder Scrolls 2. I would say it's more likely that they would want to release Game Pass on Sony consoles and try to make
Very
that deal and be
likely.
like, hey, hey, we'll make you a deal. You guys can have these games Game Pass only. You have to put Game Pass on your console. That wouldn't surprise me if they try to make that deal in the future. Um, but yeah, and that's something that I'll talk about in a second. But before we do that, we have one more piece of Xbox news. So Phil Spencer recently came out and said that he wanted to, or I wouldn't say he dreams of, but he would like to see cross, not cross platform. Well, I guess cross platform bans. So he would like to see the industry take bans all the way across a platform. So if you were, say, banned on, say, Xbox, Xbox Live, going online, you should be banned from PlayStation and Nintendo and Steam. And so he
Oh,
thinks in the future that there should be these kind of blacklists or whatever that the industry makers share. So if you are in trouble on one system, you're in trouble on every system. So if you're making toxic content, you're making racist comments or sexist comments or being abusive in a game or cheating, and you're doing that say on Xbox and you get banned on Xbox, then he thinks that there should be a list that they that PlayStation has, or an agreement that PlayStation and Nintendo have signed. So if you're making these comments on Xbox, you get banned from Xbox for say a week or a month or whatever. You can't play on any. You can't play online anywhere.
So cool. You can see the League of Legends communities already. Ah,
Yeah,
no.
exactly. And I mean, yeah, I think the idea, I think that's kind of his idea though, is that gaming has become very toxic, and if and the thing is that people can just come along and just jump on somewhere else and continue if they've, so there's a very little risk to this kind of uh
Behavior.
behavior. Exactly, behavior. There's very little risk to this kind of behavior, and I think he's thinking, there should be people shouldn't be acting this way, so we should de-incentivize it and do that
Yes, I
by
agree.
making it cross.
Good
Yeah, no,
guy.
I agree with that. I don't know if banning people from everywhere is a way to do it. I don't know. I do feel kind of that seems very 1984 to me in a way, and I'm kind of like, I mean,
I'm from 1983, so it works. I mean, yeah, they're not banned for life. They're banned for, I don't know, a week. Look at
well, it
YouTube.
depends.
If you make one mistake, you strike for a week, and they don't cry, on your shoulder.
Right,
Or
right. But then on the
so
same
no,
thing,
that's
but by that same thing is if you were banned on YouTube, then you should be banned on Twitch and Facebook as well.
of course I agree. Definitely, why not?
Well, okay, so the idea that a lot of people are worried
And
about is this could be easily abused. I mean, look at how we've gotten copyright
yes,
warnings before.
yes, I
So
agree.
and things on
The
Twitch were fine, and things on Facebook were fine, but YouTube gave us trouble. And you could have something like that where if YouTube gives you trouble, well, sorry, you can't be anywhere now. Um,
Mhm.
you know, so that's so I
Yes,
get that.
you need to be careful of the abuse in both sense, because if they resort to this kind of policy, it's because players as well are abusive, and they are crossing a line, and at some point you need to put them back in their pen. So definitely, if you ban someone for a week, he's gonna be careful after. And like, we have been very careful not to put movie trailers because we know that we're gonna get strike. So we are being very careful, and I think the same could be implemented. And yes, I agree. There could be not abuse, but mistakes made of where the line is. And Microsoft or this powerful platform wouldn't care if it affects, the player more than them. So there's a risk there.
Yeah.
But in the idea, I think it's a very good thing.
Yeah, and I think for example, one thing that people have talked about is this can a worry that is that this could enable bullies, because you have people out there that will goad you, or try to goad people into doing things or saying things, so they'll push the line and harass people, but in a not overly controversial
Yes,
way until that person snaps, and then immediately turn around and report them. And this is kind of a game to some people. And some people are worried that, this could be, this would encourage people to do that because they're like, I can not just get you on Xbox, I can get you everywhere. So I can totally
well,
ruin your gaming experience.
there's idiots and assholes everywhere, unfortunately. But I will tell you one thing. I'm part of a group on Facebook which is called France, Gamers France. It's a small group of 5 to 10,000 people, and each time there's a girl on it who says, "Hi, I want to play with a group for Fortnite or something." It has been frequent that they are harassed literally
Hmm.
online. Why did you add this guy, but you didn't add me or something? Several girls came out in the group with screenshots saying, "Guys, stop! I add whoever I want, and if I'm not adding you, give up, go away." And some people have been banned from this group, so it already exists anyway. That's because a lot of gamers, and that's very sad of it, but they're either toxic or immature, or
Oh yeah.
Go get yourself a girlfriend. Stop being an asshole online. Really, come on.
Well, if he could get a girlfriend,
All
he
good
wouldn't be
fun. I don't
harassing that
care.
girl. I mean, come on. That's not really a testament to his ability.
It's well, yeah. That's just because it's a very sad little person who can only get his fun by harassing other people. Breaking news: you're an asshole. Stop it. And if you're banned, good on you. And I'll be the first one laughing. I'm sorry. I have absolutely no. Uh, I have no empathy for this kind of people. Okay, maybe I understand if you're young and you're a teenager and you make mistake. Everybody does. That doesn't give you the right to be an asshole. I'm sorry.
But
Harassing other people, bullying is for the parents to uh, my children. I tell them you don't bully people at school, you don't bully online, and you don't get bullied online either. If it happens, then
walk away.
that's just a no. Exactly. Yes. So no. If they get banned, I be behind my cam.
But if they're banned
It was
from the
fun, huh, being an ass.
okay, but I mean, being banned from the group, do you think that they should be banned from Facebook altogether?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
With this kind of behavior, if you see the kind of screenshot, maybe, as I said, if you're a teenager and you do something like this because you don't understand how stupid what you're doing are, it can happen. You just don't have the maturity to understand that you are being a complete dick. Okay. If you are banned for a month or a year, maybe you can come back in a year and you can reflect on, yes, I have been a very bad person, and now I'm gonna be much more respectful towards other people and maybe gamer girls or whatever. Very good. You learn your lesson. Good guy.
You will
Now
take it
you're on
more
my good
seriously if
side
you're
again.
banned everywhere, for sure.
Exactly. That's yeah. Exactly. No. I know I can seem a bit extreme, but I think some people deserve extreme measures. At that point, like literally killing them virtually will make them understand that, yeah, maybe something's wrong with them
Mm.
or with their behavior. So, yeah, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah,
Really.
so yeah, no, I kind of agree with some of that. Like, for example, I mean, in the US, if you've committed a crime in one state, obviously, another state should have access to your criminal record to know that you've done that. And, obviously they should know what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. If you're banned from owning a firearm in one state, you shouldn't be allowed to go to another state and buy one. There's a reason you were banned in the first place. So I get that, but I think a lot of times I think it's a really hard. I'm not going to say it's a slippery slope, but I think it is hard to do because, for instance, one of the concerns that somebody brought up was, what happens if you have like a family console, right? And
True.
one player, and one person, uh, like say you have a one immature 16-year-old kid and he makes a comment, he gets banned from PlayStation, right? So not only is that PlayStation account banned, their Xbox is banned, their Steam accounts are banned. Nobody in that household, all the brothers and sisters, cannot play anything because of what that one kid did, you know and I mean, it would be one thing if you got banned on PlayStation and they go whine to mom and dad, and mom and dad are like, well, why did this happen? And then they find out and they're like, well, you're not allowed to play games anymore, but everybody else can play games for other places because you've punished your brothers and sisters, and that's not fair. But here, everybody in that family is that. Uh and then the other problem is why is League of Legends so toxic? It's because it's so easy to create a new account, and so people just create throwaway accounts and troll, right? So I mean, will having and we would need to link up all of our accounts. So your Xbox account would need to be linked with your PlayStation account, which would need to be linked with your Steam account in order to even know which account to ban, right? So we'd have to link all of our accounts together. Uh, but to do that, you know, again, people can just create troll accounts. So the only way to counter that is to create IP bans. And if you create IP bans, that does the same thing. Where if you have a household, everybody in the household is banned, even if they have their own account. they, like if I'm playing, if my brother is trolling in League of Legends, I can't even log into my own account because I'm IP banned. You know, so
Okay,
I think,
so
yeah, so I think it's a very, I think it's a good idea, but I think it needs
then
more
let me ask you a
planning.
question.
Sure.
You have brothers and sisters, right?
I have 6.
So imagine you're in your house, you're in a household, and because of one of them, none of you can play for a week. What do you think is going to happen to the member of your family who caused that? Do you think that after a week of bullying from all the brothers and sisters, he's going to try to do that again?
Oh, absolutely.
Uh, do you see? Really?
Absolutely. Because they're
Knowing
mad
that
because they
next
feel
time?
like they're the victim and they want to punish everybody else because they feel like they got bullied. And so they want to take it out on everybody else and they're like, "Fine, you want to treat me like that? Screw you guys."
Ah,
So
yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
they will do that. It's
I mean,
happened.
if you get your family banned for a week, they're gonna bully you, and if you get them banned for a month, that means the very bad treatment you will encounter will last a month. Why would you like to do that?
Just to
I
spite
mean,
it, just to spite
it's a
people. I
it's
mean,
a it's a
why are you trolling girls online anyway? Because they don't want to play with you.
it's
People are
a
just
it's a
spiteful
it's a
creatures.
yeah, exactly. It's just a question of education. And
Yeah.
well, in any case, we are just talking like this because we know that it cannot really be implemented.
Yeah, it would be really hard to
I-
implement
It's
and then
it's a dream. It's a dream to
it is a
ban
dream.
bullies, of
It is a dream.
course, but it's just a
Yeah.
dream, and there's no real way to do it
Yeah. Now I will
unless you
say
get
if you're banned on say something like Fortnite on PlayStation, I think you should be banned on Fortnite everywhere. Um,
yes,
so I
definitely.
mean, and that's
That's
easy to
the
do
goal for them.
because all your accounts are linked on Fortnite. That 100% I
Exactly.
agree with. But to say like, if you're banned from Xbox Live, you should be banned from
Mm,
PlayStation.
no,
That one I'm a little boring. Like, I think it would be, yeah, I don't know. It depends on why you were banned, I would say. But then you're looking at a
of
case by
course.
case basis, and that's just way too complex.
Yeah, you can get banned for 2 hours and
Yeah,
banned for a month, depending on the gravity of what you did. But
right, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
having some little, like pressure on these bullies is never a bad thing.
sometimes. As I said, sometimes when you bully a bully back, that's just, yeah, you're just creating an endless cycle of hate.
No problem. He has to understand that
Oh no, they
he's not
do.
the only one who can
They
bully the
do.
others.
It's complicated, but
Yeah,
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 they
yeah.
they
You have
absolutely
to
need to
stand
know.
up to bullies.
Yeah. All right. So we had a long discussion on that one. So
True.
two last things before we go. The first one is PlayStation Now cards are being taken off shelves, so you are not going to be able to renew your PlayStation Now subscriptions. Why? Well, a lot of people are speculating that this means that the PlayStation Now is going to be fused with PlayStation Plus, and so that is going to be merged into whatever Spartacus is, and yeah, this is going to be the new Game Pass competitor, and so because of that, they're not going to be allowing people to renew PlayStation Now because it's not going to exist on its own anymore. It's going to become part of PlayStation Plus. So that ought to be interesting. Also, what's interesting is apparently people have found some PlayStation 3 games listed on PlayStation, I believe PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, somewhere. So that's interesting because normally you couldn't play PlayStation 3 games on the 4 or 5. It didn't have that backwards compatibility. So the question
No.
is, are these going to be part of this new service? And that's why they are going to be on there. Because they're going to be part of this new service as kind of a Game Pass kind of thing, or is there going to be an emulation coming out at some point, and we're going to be able to get access to our PS3 games? I don't know, but if we do, that's going to be awesome because that means I get to play Mod Nation Racer again. And in the last bit
Absolutely.
of news, Xbox ended production of the Xbox One. PlayStation is ramping it up. And the reasoning is, I mean, Xbox obviously stopped because they want to focus on the newest console generation. But unfortunately, the newest console generation is not able to meet demand. And so apparently the PS4 is still selling pretty well. In Japan last year, 2021, the PS4 outsold the Xbox One X and S combined. I mean, that's Japan, so that's not a worldwide thing. But there's still apparently a strong enough demand for the PS4. Now, reports had said that Sony was planning to end production in 2021 of the PS4. But because they cannot meet the production of PS5, they are ramping up production of PS4. Now, a lot of people are wondering, that doesn't make sense. If you can't make enough PS5s, why are you making more PS4s? You should be focusing on PS5s. But the thing is, PS4 is a pretty old technology, and the bottleneck for the PS5 is not the factory space or anything like that. It's the components. We can't get those components. And those components are the newer, more, fancier components. PS4 doesn't use those. So ramping up PS4 production in no way impacts PS5 production because the bottleneck is not the amount of production the factories. It's the components. But this is actually beneficial to the PS5 because Sony originally had contracts with these factories to produce PS5s. If they're not producing PS5s, they're not living up to their end of the contracts, which means that they become invalid and other companies can buy out this factory space to be using for their own things, cell phones or whatever. So by ramping up PS4 production, Sony is able to maintain contracts with these factories, which means that if, components for PS5 do become more readily available, it'll be, they're already going to have contracts in place that they're going to be able to develop this. So that is part of the reason why they are ramping up PS4 production. So it might seem counterintuitive, but there is actually a good reason for it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Because
I just want to add one little thing is that it's hard to say, Japan is the home of Sony, and Japan is very much a PlayStation country.
oh,
So
definitely.
even in that case, yeah, Xbox would still be extremely low compared to Sony. So it's hard to generalize this situation
Right.
across the globe if you just take Japan, because Japan is definitely a Sony market. So
Yeah, actually, I think the only market where Xbox competes fairly well with Sony is the U.S. because even Europe, I think, is predominantly still PlayStation. If I've
yes, I
Yeah,
think
so
so.
but
But
yeah, they, they
Xbox is
did they
ramping
did
up.
specifically mention Japan. They didn't mention Europe. So the fact that they didn't mention
Yeah.
Europe, I think that the I think the X series and the S series outsold the PS4. It definitely in America. Um, Possibly also because and that's one thing that's I think too is I mean, who does not have a PS4 by now? I mean, come on, really? Like, unless you're replacing it. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised that there's still a demand. I would have thought that people who wanted them would have had them by now, but I don't know. Who knows? But apparently there's a demand for it. So yeah, if there's a demand, there's money to be made. If there's money to be made, might as well use the factories. All right, so that is the end of the news today, and that is the end of the episode. Oops, I should close that. All right. And with that, we are going to say goodbye. We don't have a theme yet for next week, do we?
Not
No,
yet,
not yet.
as
So,
usual.
yeah, as usual. So we'll let you guys know. Korean should be back very soon, not next week, but I do believe is it next week? Yeah, next week because in February, Korean said he'll be rejoining us. It will also be the Chinese New Year, uh, or I should say Lunar New Year
Soon.
now. But here in Taiwan, we celebrate Chinese New Year because we celebrate the Chinese cultural variant of the Lunar New Year. So yeah, we'll be doing that. I don't know if we're gonna do a special for that or what's gonna happen, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. Hopefully you enjoyed our conversation. We had a lot to say. And what do you think? Do you agree with me that maybe a cross ban is maybe a little extreme, or do you agree with Antoine that this is a necessary step in order to keep ourselves and our children and our friends and family safe? So yeah, let us know in the comments what you think, and we will see you guys again soon. Have a lovely week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.